if I'm trying to sleep better, what affects that? How can I like go about doing that?
Yeah, so sleep can be affected by a couple of things in the night. It can be affected by alcohol, which I know is legal for 18 and over, but still
Or
going
under
to
parental supervision.
still go over it. It can be, your sleep can be affected by alcohol. Alcohol, I know with some people can help them fall asleep easier, but it affects the quality of your sleep. Having one or two drinks before bed can increase your awakenings in the night. So,
And can I add something?
yeah.
With teenagers, do you think teenagers are having a drink or two every night, or is it like a lot at once, like at parties and stuff?
By a drink or two, do you mean like a whole beer or like a sip?
Like, do you think teenagers are just like drinking regularly, like on a habit basis?
I'd say that some people maybe, but I know that there are some year 13s that are 18, and so they could be
So they can't
drinking
legally
casually.
drink. But
they
but
can legally
do you think
drink.
that people, like teenagers especially, are like going and getting drunk at parties and stuff more than they're just drinking habitually?
I think yeah, they can go get drunk at parties. Parties there can be alcohol and stuff, and yeah, I don't attend those parties, but I know that you can get drunk easily there. When you're a teenager, you can be so susceptible to alcohol easily.
So of course, besides like going to bed later, you're also not sleeping as well.
Yeah, like it can worsen symptoms of sleep apnea, which is a condition to do with the breathing while you sleep. It can make you breathe heavier, or it can stop the breathing, which can cause you to wake up.
So effectively, the main thing is just sleep quality. So even if you think it might help you go to sleep faster or like fall asleep easier, it's like hurting your sleep quality.
Yeah, definitely.
On the topic of like things that you consume, what about caffeine? I know a lot of people, especially at the school, have caffeine through like either coffee or especially I see this a lot with energy drinks.
Yeah, there are lots of those around, and caffeine, it stimulates your brain to keep you up at night, which isn't great because it's feeding your brain the chemical and then it gets used to it, and so you can have less quality sleep.
And I know from my research that caffeine effectively masks the effect of adenosine. So you're missing that signal to go to sleep, and that's how it works. That's how it keeps you alert. It's effectively blocking the signal that makes you feel tired, which obviously isn't good for sleep. So that brings me to the next question: how can you use caffeine safely without it affecting your sleep?
The appropriate use of caffeine would be great if it was used maybe in the morning, but not a couple hours before bed or before when you plan to go to sleep, because that's going to keep you up for hours just laying in bed.
So you may have heard the advice of not having it after midday. You think that's about right?
Yeah, I do, because it definitely helps you wake up in the morning. So for night people, caffeine is great for waking up in the morning because, as you said, people can be like zombies.
Yeah, and I think it deserves attention that energy drinks, like a lot of people, they like maybe miss lunch or they'll have an energy drink or have an energy drink in the afternoon because they're tired. I think it's kind of easy to fall into that trap with energy drinks, and they do have a lot of caffeine. What do you think about that?
Yeah, energy drinks aren't good for you. Because, like, it's like with sugar. You can have lots of sugar, and then you'll always have a crash.
But there's the effect on sleep as well, which is bad.
Yeah. There's that too, I guess.
There's also, if you're exercising a lot, you might use pre-workout in the afternoon. If you're working out in the evening, pre-workout tends to have caffeine in it. You think it has a detrimental effect?
Yeah. You have to be careful with that, not to have it too late.
So pre-workout supplements are fine, but just being aware that if you have it too late, it might affect your sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So with sleep loop, what are the environmental factors?
Well, you can set a person into a perfect sleep environment based on what you're used to. The body adapts to things such as lighting, noise, and temperature. Most people experience this because they can't sleep while it's too hot, they can't sleep while it's too cold, they can't sleep when it's too bright, they can't sleep when it's too noisy. stuff like that. Like, we all have our own slightly different sleep environment. Like, particularly, I find it easier to fall asleep with a bit of noise in the background.
But what is the total, like, ideal sleep environment as far as, like, temperature, lighting, noise? What about that?
Background noise helps people sleep, but consistency and volume are important. If noises are constantly spiking and loud, they can definitely disturb your sleep easily. And transitioning into deeper stages like REM or deep sleep, like you said, can become more difficult.
I've heard a piece of advice, I think you might find this interesting. You want your sleeping environment to be like a cave. And obviously, if you're thinking of a wet cave, it's not wet, so think of a dry cave. But you want it to be cool, dark, and quiet. And that's your ideal sleeping environment.
Yeah.
I do know that some people like sleeping with some sort of background noise, usually like white noise or like wave noise or something like that. Maybe some people like rain. But some people also like total silence. So do you think that's something that you should personally experiment with and find what you like best?
Yeah, I think see what you like best, and then you can sort of create your own perfect sleep environment.
And how do you also, on a semi-related topic, feel about sleep trackers? So like sleep tracking apps that can give you feedback on how you're sleeping. You think that's a useful tool to kind of make changes to your sleep environment?
I think, yeah, that's great, unless you're really stubborn and just it annoys you.
Yeah, I mean, I use a sleep tracking app, and me personally, I really like it. I think it gives me some useful feedback. And my mum, on the other hand, she tried to use one, but she felt like she was like she had to like try and sleep well when she was using it.
Yeah.
And that really negatively affected her sleep. So,
like, it feels more like a chore.
I think that's also something that is, like, you have to mess around with that, see if you like it, see if you don't like it. But I do think if you don't mind it, it's a useful tool.
Yeah.
Luke, so there is something very important that I want to address. But before I say this, I just want to say that we are not very well researched on the topic. It is still very important though. So with that being said, how do you think lack of sleep affects mental health?
Yeah, I think that mental health and sleeping is connected.
Strong correlation.
Yeah. You can definitely... Depression and anxiety can be a cause to stay up later at night, just overthinking about things, which isn't great.
Yeah, it's interesting. From what little research I did do initially with this, I do know that there is quite a strong link between depression and anxiety and sleep deprivation. And I think it's something that's very interesting and concerning, even. In fact, something I came across while I was researching is that 1 in 3 high schoolers say that they felt persistent sadness or hopelessness, and roughly 1 in 5 have seriously considered suicide, and that is very disappointing, actually. And I think sleep, among other things, of course, is like a big reason for that.
Yeah, that's sad, and that's probably why a big thing in our generation is like those there's places that you can call to get help about stuff like that.
Can I add to that as well? We talked about social media from our data that we collected, taking people's sleep time, people staying up on their phones or playing games and that sort of thing. But those things can also affect mental health negatively. Not only just for taking sleep, but also for like what people are seeing on social media is not necessarily always a realistic representation of what is real life, and that can be damaging. You agree with that, Luke?
Yeah.